Hello everyone, and welcome back to Jesse Hecht Creative's review of Snow White. In this video, we'll be doing a wrap-up video of the film, and we'll be talking about how the film compares to the source material, our favorite and least favorite characters, our favorite scenes, background designs, songs, how this film would hold up today, and if this film was redone, what should be changed, as well as our final thoughts. I'm Jesse Hecht Creative, and I have two special guests with me.
Hi, I'm Miss Chris.
I'm PSV60.
And so, how does the film compare to the source material?
Actually, I've read the source material, and Disney really sanitized it. Pretty much in the fairy tale, the queen tries to have Snow White killed 3 times, and as punishment, pretty much, she has to dance over hot coals while wearing metal shoes and gets poked to death. So yeah.
That's terrible.
It is. But it kind of really starts that whole Disney really sanitized a lot from the source material. Using the fairy tales, they really in a way, the Grimm brothers are really gruesome.
Yeah, I read a book when I was younger that had a different story in it. It had someone's hand getting cut off. I think that was also by Grimm, so that was kind of scary. They wrote a lot of really adult things, which is back in the era where children were to be seen and not heard. And the best way to get them to listen to you is through fear. Yay. So there's that. And it just doesn't really jive well with the Disney image. So I like how they sort of did some changes and fixed it up and polished it up and kept the source material sort of alive. Yet they pushed the darker parts back in the corner.
Just swept it into the little mouse hole.
Yeah.
I've not read any of the Grimm fairy tale stuff. I was meant to, but it never happened.
You should. They're really fascinating.
They are. Didn't you say there was something about Snow White and Rose Red?
There was. I found out when I was looking that up that there was a story called Snow White and Rose Red that was really very far from what the Snow White movie was, primarily because it's a different Snow White. They just happened to use the same name in both Snow White stories. But in this one, it was her and her sister. Their mother was still alive. They still lived with their mother in the woods. They met a bear in the woods that they freed. They played with it, and it became their friend. And they met a dwarf after that who was just always ungrateful. He'd always been trapped in something, and they'd always freed him, and then he'd get mad because they freed him, because they'd have to cut his beard off because it got stuck in a tree or a trap or something like that. Eventually, they found the dwarf being attacked by a bear. The bear was the same bear that they'd met before. The dwarf was yelling for help, and they just kind of were like, "No, you're just kind of been mean all the time." So they just kind of left him there. The bear killed the dwarf, and then the bear turned into a prince. And apparently, the bear was a prince the whole time that was cursed by the dwarf.
Interesting.
Huh.
Wow. And
on that note,
yeah.
Yeah.
Miss Chris, were there any other differences between this story and the original story that you read about?
In the original story, it actually set up about why she's called Snow White. Because Snow White's the birth mom prayed for a child, and she wanted her, was dreaming of her perfect, the perfect daughter with lips as red as a rose, and hair as black as ebony, and skin as white as snow. And so she probably had a regular name, but they just called her Snow White because of this pure white skin that she had, which, coming out of my mouth, that sounds racist as all get up, and I don't mean by that. It's the source material. I'm like, oh god.
Don't be racist, kids.
No, that's bad. No, but so that really kind of sets up that, and Snow White is yeah, it was a nickname probably, or they just named her that. I can't remember, but
I think it may have been a nickname.
Yeah.
But also noting to that, her name, she actually, the blush in the film she wears, actually, it kind of gives her a little bit of life. because her skin's supposed to be really pale, so they just gave her a little blush, and it worked out. Yeah,
Oh, that's kind of nice. Neat. I wouldn't have thought of that.
yeah, I'm glad they did that.
But yeah, so what were you guys' favorite character in the film?
The Queen. Oh my God,
Yeah,
yes.
definitely the Queen.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I'm nearly always a fan more of the villain than I am of the hero.
that's why Disney villains is such a big market because
Oh, yeah.
bad is good in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
and it's kind of in the classic storytelling. You can't have a good hero without a good villain. It's the symbiosis. I can't pronounce word for beans, but it's kind of that symbiotic relationship. You need a good villain to give the hero motivation, but you also need a good hero to thwart the villain's plans. That sort of thing. Like
It's kind of in the way where not Disney, but Megamind has that where the villain wins and there's no heroics for him to really react to. And the flip side of that, but mostly bad guys do bad things and the good guy stops them, and that's kind of how it works. Where the sheriff doesn't show up until the bad guy robs the bank, and he's just there. It's that kind of thing where the hero is set in a place where they can get to a they're inactive until they're called upon.
right.
Yeah,
and I feel like the Queen is the sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
but I feel like the Queen was the only actually fleshed out character. The others felt more caricatures in a way. Like, yeah, the Queen is evil, but she has her motivation. She has her arc, really. Where everyone else seems to be just kind of waiting for whatever the Queen does. Yes.
Yeah, I feel one other character in that movie at all had an arc, and that was Grumpy. And it was a very small arc.
Right.
But it was an arc.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much nobody else did. Unless
I
you were to
actually
count the single scene with the huntsman, maybe.
Right, yeah, that's
Probably
a really
not.
tiny arc, and I think the biggest story character arc in the entire film, guys, was that turtle. No, I'm kidding.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. No, but
okay, so we've talked about what would
favorite-
be your least favorite characters then?
Oh, that is tough. I would say the combination of, you know what? Actually, it could. No, it's not the huntsman because I like the huntsman a lot because he kind of does have this little small arc. The mirror is cool because of that. He looks. Maybe the prince, just for not having much to do with. The dwarves are great. I was going to say the Sleepy or one of the dwarves, but really they kind of just work in that little group character where they aren't singular characters; they're just part of a group. I feel like the prince might be the least favorite character. Who shows up to a coffin and kisses the body? I mean, really now.
Exactly, and everyone else surrounding that is kind of okay with it, and
they
that's
let
also
him.
really creepy.
They let him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sleeping Death loves first kiss. It would have been interesting if they showed them going to that book and going to that page.
Or even just an explanation of
Yes.
the the dwarves know the prince. Maybe they're familiar with the
Right.
magic.
Yeah.
And they still have their eye on the kingdom even though they're secluded from it.
Right.
Or maybe the prince knows that particular spell and he's like, I can help.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. It just kind of felt like rushed, where it's like you only see and I agree that the prince really doesn't do anything other than kiss a dead chick in the middle of the forest, like
and a dove.
And
a
he
dove,
kissed the dove.
yes.
The dove
Oh,
dies.
goodness.
And Snow White wakes up.
I do. I mean,
No. That's why I'm kind of loath to even call the prince a character. The prince was more of a plot device.
Plot device. Yes.
exactly. That's why I'm like, he's like, okay, he's even less of a character than even the group characters. Like he's even just more just kind of there compared to the other background characters. Like the animals had more
Yes,
to do.
the animals
in
did
that
have more
film.
character. Yeah. The scenes of them cleaning, the scenes of them running around, the scenes of them looking. There were so many little animal scenes. I'm realizing the animals probably had literally 5 minutes of screen time, which for this is kind of a lot.
That spider had more characterization than the prince did.
Yeah, the little
No,
spider
the funny thing
yeah.
is that he's just known as the prince, like in the film, but like you kind of they see later on, and like it's like, oh yeah, well his like they mentioned that the queen's name was Grimhild. Snow White is still just Snow White.
Right. The
But
prince is
the
just the
prince apparently his
prince.
name is Ferdinand or something like that because he can't just be called the prince or Prince Charming. Um, but yeah, so it's kind of like, oh well, we gotta show some sort of character to this guy, and I'm like, well, maybe not just having him break into a castle and be like, hey, I love you too, type of thing. I'm gonna
Right.
kiss a bird.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've all established that our least favorite character is the prince.
All right. So let's get back to things we liked. And
Right.
what was your favorite scene in the film?
Oh, witch transformation. The transformation from the queen to the witch.
That was really well done.
Yeah.
I think actually her making the apple and then her leaving through pretty much the sewers to through the dungeon to
Right.
be like, oh, swiggity swoogie, I'm off to poison the princess.
Poisoning that booty.
No, PS360 is, I mean, is like we're just talking, just kind of fangirling over the witch here. Is there a scene that you absolutely loved, or?
I liked the other evil queen scene at the beginning where she was talking to the huntsman. Just because I liked how they had her framed. I liked how she was very like. They did I mentioned this while we were recording. They did the same kind of like foreboding shot of everybody like gets bright eyes, but everything else is in shadow except for maybe like the weapon that they have, like the huntsman had his knife. They just did a really, really good job of lighting her and making her look like menacing, but without really specifically a reason for her to be menacing.
Right.
Like the huntsman had his knife. Mm-hmm. We really didn't know at that point what the evil queen was capable of. We knew she was evil because it's in her name. I mean, they're not going to name the hero of the story the evil queen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although that would be an interesting film, though. By the way.
Yeah, I would like to see that in something like that's just her name. Her first name is Evil and last name is Queen, maybe.
Yeah.
But I liked how they had her framed like she was constantly in like an extremely like imposing figure that you didn't know what she was capable of, but you knew it was going to be bad, and you knew she was going to follow through on whatever she was going to say. And I really liked how they had her drawn. I also liked how they did a kind of uncanny valley thing with her. Like she was like they gave her like facial features and a facial structure that made her look like what would be probably around that time like a very strong definition of beauty. I mean that's pretty much her whole character. She wanted to be the most beautiful thing there was. Mm-hmm. But for her it was almost like unnatural and unearthly. Like it was too perfect.
That I understand, and her to go through maybe so many changes, and then like this, her stepdaughter, this young waif, is just naturally insanely beautiful, and that's enough to really like, I mean, not drive anyone to murder.
It's jealousy
but
and
like,
greed, plain and simple.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
just that is pure jealousy
and
just greed. Like, no, like I've worked so hard for this. How could someone so young do this naturally? You get that tick in your brain, like,
exactly.
How dare they? I hate them so much.
I wouldn't mind if there was a scene. Well, actually, we'll go into a different question, but
I do want to go into the insane amount of detail that Disney goes into, especially like in the background even of the film.
Yes.
Like I didn't even notice
background designs.
Until like the actually I watched this last week where the throne is like intricately detailed.
Throne.
You had all these birds, and like the top of the throne was this peacock with all the feathers. I'm like, now I hadn't watched this film in like over 20 years, and yet how did I not notice all this type of thing?
So my favorite background design actually would be the dwarves' house. I love the walls of the dwarves' house. They're painted, but they look like they're like at least real world terms, they're painted as in like they're the artist who made the house designed the house, painted it, but also the dwarves probably made the house themselves in universe, and it probably didn't paint it as good as they could have, so it looks smeared. It doesn't look like full in some places. Doesn't look like there's too thick of paint in one corner. There's too thin of paint in the other corner. It goes from a darker color to a lighter color for no reason, and it just fits the characters of the dwarves so much. The backgrounds of their house is, I mean, the what's funny is the painting is done horribly, but there's carvings everywhere of faces and animals and names, and it's just so it's intricate yet sloppy. It's detailed where it needs to be,
Right, and
but sloppy where it isn't.
And I think that's a bit of that actually establishes the dwarves' character.
Perfectly.
I'm just gonna lump them all in. They each have their own little names
Yeah,
and personalities,
quirks,
and their
but
personalities are because of their names. But like, I see them more as a group, and you see that they don't. I mean, yeah, they're good at detecting gems, and they're good at carving, and they're good at this, but they are slobs, and that's
exactly.
fine.
Yeah, they're good at their craft, but not much else.
Yeah, the one, I forget which one, even was complaining that there wasn't any more dust and his cup was clean.
Right. Yeah.
And I guess that's just really, really unusual for them.
Yeah. Just
Right.
I mean, I'm really bad at dusting too, but I don't think I'm going to complain that there's not any grime in my coffee mug.
yeah.
Yeah, right. I would love for someone just to break into my apartment and clean it.
Clean everything.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, they could.
it's like I come home and I'm like, oh, thank God, I don't have to do anything. This is wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, even if they were still in the house and like passed out somewhere, I'd still probably be like, "Hey, thanks, man. You want a pizza or something?"
Snow White cleaning services. You
Yeah.
whistle, we work.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I would still be I'd be incredibly frightened if they were still in my apartment.
No, yeah, it's like you get home. Please leave.
Who are
just
you
go.
and why did you
Yeah.
clean everything?
Why are you wearing that yellow dress, sir? Why are you wearing that yellow dress?
Why are you wearing heels while cleaning? What?
Right. But to get back on track.
Anyway, so
PS360. What's your favorite scene?
speak-
Your favorite background design? I mean, I'm sorry.
Well, the dwarf house to me is kind of creepy. I don't really know how I could. I don't feel like I could live somewhere that just has that many faces carved into the walls.
No, yeah, I understand fully.
I like
especially at night.
I like the forest. Like
Okay.
when Snow White was running through it, and everything was just kind of like everything that would just be normally creepy was just adding into and playing off of the fear and terror that she already had from running away from something that was potentially going to murder her. She ran into somewhere that was already unfamiliar with her. She was in the palace, so depending on the version of the story you go with, either she would be royalty and wouldn't really go into the forest much, or she just wasn't allowed to leave. At which point she also would go into the forest much. So all of that's unfamiliar to her. She's already scared, and everything's just making it worse.
Oh,
I think they
right.
did a great job with that.
Oh, I think the scene itself was done really well.
Yeah, from a critiquing standpoint, it's brilliant that they did all of that with the hands, the eyes everywhere, and it turns out to be the animal's eyes. But from a viewing standpoint, oh my god, it's scary. It's pretty freaky. The tone of that is so good. I love that. This film really, just a little sidebar, this film really does tone well when it's scary. It doesn't really do it well when it's light, but when it's freaky, they nail it. Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
Internet hugs for Jesse.
What?
Internet hugs for Jesse.
Yeah, really. Thank you.
Yes, all the
Thank you.
internet hugs.
Thank you. Please.
From
please, keep
the
them coming.
cutely designed little animals.
Keep them coming.
Yes.
Clean my stuff, animals. Go.
Now let's talk about happy things. And what was your favorite song?
Actually, I have one more thing I want to add before favorite song. Favorite shot. Something they held on for a little bit that you liked.
Huh? Oh.
I know what you're going
gonna
to say. PS360.
Yeah, that's Stein.
Yeah, really.
I want that style.
Yeah, really.
Actually, I really like the establishing shots. And also the shot of I don't know.
You gotta pick one. You gotta pick one.
I know, I do. I think I don't know. Only because there's one that I actually kind of like, but only because it's become a meme, where it's the queen like lowering the door
I think
over
we all
herself
have.
when she's leaving.
I think we all have Queen Witch things as our favorite shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Queen
Actually,
lowering
the
door.
shot of
Just makes me think of I'll swallow your soul, I'll swallow your soul.
actually. Yeah. Actually, I did like the vultures when they were that shot where they
Yeah.
are just circling down. It just blurs and like
Yeah.
fades to the
That
next
is a
scene.
wonderful
That
shot.
I think was brilliant because
Mhm.
like it establishes what you know happened
Right.
without telling
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
It's like
Show don't tell. Show don't tell.
exactly.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's get into some
Well,
happy tunes.
I have. Well, I have my favorite shot, and I think PS360 has his favorite shot. But my favorite shot
Oh
is
dang it! Sorry.
it's okay. Mine is when the witch shows up at the cottage, and that look she gives, that like
Oh.
cockeyed look she
yeah,
gives, and that was
yeah.
great. Where she just sort of shows up, and she's there in front of you, and the fourth wall will not protect you.
Right, and
Like staring
during the
into you.
recording, we're talking about every sort of door-to-door salesman,
Yeah.
Avon.
Yeah, Avon.
We're
That
just
kind of lightens
completely
the mood.
trashed on that
Yeah.
scene, but it's a great shot.
It is a great shot. Yeah.
PS360, what about you?
I guess I can't really say the whole movie because
Nope.
there's about 4 or 5 that I would list as a favorite shot, and I've never been particularly great at picking a favorite thing because it's me saying I like this above all of the other ones, and all of the other ones are not quite as good as this, and
Right.
I've always been a
But-
bit bad at that.
But it's understood that we love them. We love all the shots in the movie, but just
Yeah.
just pick one.
Aside from
Yeah, is there ones that you particularly like that we
Yeah.
haven't mentioned?
Yeah.
well, we've already gone through most of the Queen ones,
Yeah.
and I think we said this during the recording, but I did like when the dwarves were coming home for the day through the forest,
Yeah.
walking over the log,
Oh,
and for me
yeah.
especially walking in front of the waterfall and
Yeah.
into
that's
the
a good one.
background.
Yeah, I think that's been made in like a painting, or it's like that's an iconic shot from the film.
Mhm. Yeah. Also, another one that I want to add on because it's been mentioned a lot in the recording is the one where she's looking into the glass and about to drink it, and you can
Yeah,
see her
Oh
reflection
yeah,
of
the
it. Yeah.
reflection.
That was
one
what
I
I
liked
thought
as
you were
well.
gonna say. Yeah.
That one is my favorite, but I didn't really want to pick another Queen one.
It's actually okay.
It
The
kinda,
thing is,
yeah, it's
the thing is, all of us picking the Queen scene just shows how impactful and important that character is in the film. Really, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it should be. It probably is no accident that we picked all these because they probably really focused on her character a lot. You know.
True.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind if we all have the same scene to pick from because it just shows how. I mean, it's off the cuff. You know. That's how it should be with this kind of wrap up review.
Yeah.
So now, Miss Chris, you were saying something happy earlier.
yes, lots of music and happy and lots of things. Actually, like it's kind of funny that like a lot of the songs I didn't care for.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was kind of there.
We could do score
I mean,
too
the
if you.
silly song
If,
is
yeah.
fine. Yeah. Hi Ho would actually be my favorite. If I picked one, Hi Ho actually would be my favorite because it's just a happy little jolly song about leaving work for the day. You're like, I'm done
Mhm.
with this.
Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
home.
Yeah. That's a good song. The visuals are great during it too.
Oh, it's just a
Yeah.
nice little simple song, really. And it feels like, yeah, that is one they kind of sing on the way home from work. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going home.
I was always under the impression, until I saw this movie again, it'd been a really long time, that the song was hi ho, it's off to work we go. And I thought it was a
It's-
song about being happy to go to work.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, they actually sing that. That's a reprise. After she kisses them on the forehead, they start singing hi ho,
Yeah.
hi ho.
Yeah.
off
It's
to
more
work
like
we
just
go.
something to do.
They
Okay.
have two versions.
Yeah. It also
That's,
scares.
have
that's where I'm.
Well. Go
I
on.
did actually watch the movie, I swear.
No, it's okay. But I think also they sing it not only to just relieve boredom, but there's animals and junk in the woods, and you gotta scare them off a little bit. So yeah, just saying.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Right. The mining song that kind of goes into that is a good one too.
yeah. We dig,
Yeah.
dig, dig. Yeah,
Like dig,
Yes.
dig, dig, dig,
Yeah.
dig, 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 dig.
And that
all the way
really,
through.
that's the thing. It's a good introduction.
it is. Yeah,
it's a great introduction to the dwarves as a character.
Mm-hmm. We're men, guys.
We dig stuff.
Yeah, we dig.
We play in the dirt.
What do you dig, Jules? Diamonds.
Pretty things. You shut up.
We're gonna hit them with a hammer to make sure they're perfect.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
They'll make
toss them off the cliff.
they'll make strange tin noises if they're bad.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that touch. It was a nice little detail.
I would
They
have
make
kept
little-
the imperfect ones though.
Yeah,
they were
they
so
make-
pretty.
They make little like clink clink noises if they're good, and if you
Yeah.
hit them, if they're bad, they just go like clunk.
Also,
It's like the goose
from
from Willy Wonka.
Yeah. Sound effects are something that weren't really there, like in parts of the film. It was weird. Just want to point that out. That sound effects were sparse. Needed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sound design's one of those weird things that if you do it right, no one will ever notice that you do it right.
Right. Yeah.
But if you do it wrong,
People notice. Yeah.
It's glaring.
Yeah. My favorite song was Silly's song. Just for
Silly
the
song?
the variety of instrument when they're dancing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I love all the organ sounds, the drums, all the different instruments that put into that, all the sort of work. I'm personally a fan of more instrumental things. I have a very wide, vast collection of video game music. So I've never really been the best guy for vocals, but instrumentals, you got me hooked. You know?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I get you, and it's like, that's the thing. A lot of the songs was really kind of blended. It like each scene felt like had its own little song, but some of it just kind of there were two scenes with songs back to back.
Right.
It
Yeah.
felt like.
I feel like the songs for me were part of the scenes, so it's hard for me to pick like individual ones because the songs didn't particularly stand out to me as being separate from the movie as
Mhm.
something that I would sing other than like the Hi Ho song and dig
Yeah.
dig 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 dig.
Any
That's what I'm
music?
gonna call it now.
Any music in general stand out? I mean, it's like songs, music, whatever, score. You know?
Not to me, at least, because to me, again, it was all part of like what would make scenes good. So like,
Right. Yeah.
if it was my comment on if they do it right, no one really notices. Very, very much rings true for me, and
course,
it's very
yeah.
seldom that like a song will stand out to me
Okay.
as
Yeah.
a piece of music in its own right. In some instances, it will. But for this one, where like I already knew it was kind of a musical,
Mm-hmm.
like the Dig Dig song was really the only one that like
Right.
really stands out as like, yes, I would listen to this outside of the movie. I quite enjoyed it,
Yeah.
and how it's
Um,
just iconic over the years. Like it's
Oh yeah.
just become like one of the songs that
Mhm.
Disney's known for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Someday My Prince Will Come. That's like one of these. Like, oh yeah, that's really iconic, and it's
Yeah.
like she's singing. I'm like, that's like the love song from there. I'm like, she met him
Yeah,
yesterday in
5
over
minutes.
5 minutes.
You never
How is
know.
this a
What
love
if?
story?
What
We'll
if
be
he?
very happy when we get to Frozen.
Yeah.
Actually,
What
I
if-
didn't care for that film. So,
Anyways,
Anyway.
but what if?
I'll
yeah.
explain why when we get to that film.
Right. And that's like in a year or
Um,
two. So, anyways.
Oh right. And speaking of modern films, really,
Yes.
how would you think this film would hold up today? Like if it was released like I don't know, like a year ago or something, or like even like
And
this-
unchanged, it wouldn't.
Yes.
It wouldn't at all. The pacing would be too slow for kids. That's the issue. That you need a lot of action, a lot of dialogue. I'm noticing a lot now. Most films rely heavily on their scripts, and this film doesn't rely as heavy on its scripts rather than its visuals, and that's the drawback with this. Where, yes, recently there's a resurgence with like slapstick jokes with minions and stuff like that, but I don't know if I think the jokes here are too slowly paced and they're drawn out more for the hey, look at our cool animation rather than hey, look at how well we can construct a gag.
Yeah, this was definitely kind of a more proof of concept
Yes.
that to show that they can
Mhm.
actually make a feature-length film and they can make it successful
Right.
than
Yeah.
it was for really, I guess, any other reason. I mean, it's still, I'll say it's a compelling story for the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was made to be kind of sort of a kids movie.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
you didn't really need a whole lot to make the story compelling for a kids movie. There was a
Right.
very clear good guy. There was a very clear bad guy. Clear good guy wins.
Yeah. And
In
that's
this
all you need.
instance, because of the power of love,
Yes.
Right.
and
And it's
that's fine for a kids movie.
and I think like also this movie was a product of the time. Like there was some sight gags that I noted in the film that would not fly today. One
Right.
comes to mind during the silly song,
Yeah.
with the symbol and
Dopey
the
and
face
Dopey.
gesture that Dopey
Yeah.
made. I'm like,
And that's kind
yeah,
of not
uh,
kosher
that's
nowadays.
no, it's really racist.
Yeah.
But like even like a lot of the sight gags and the fact that not Cinderella, Jiminy Christmas, I am mixing the movies. Snow White. It's been a long day. Anyway, the fact that Snow White is really just kind of sitting around and just like, oh, well, maybe my prince will show up and save me, and she has no agency of her own. Really, like everything happens to her, and she really doesn't really like um do anything for herself. She just kind of sits around and waits for everyone else
Right. It's a very
to
inactive movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very passive movie. There nothing really happens until one character or two characters make things happen. It just sort of drags along the plot until someone does something. It's kind of like sitting around with your friend for like an hour on the porch, and then suddenly you're like, let's get pizza. And then yeah, it's like that. It's that kind of
And it's
feeling.
like, oh, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do for like
Yeah,
an
for like
hour
yeah.
until it's like, oh, well, I guess I'm gonna get going then.
Yeah.
Or like your third friend should finally calls and be like, hey, I got pizza.
There's no quest because the quest is solved 20 minutes in the movie. I want to get away from the queen. Oh, good, a cottage. Yay.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it would probably be a bit different if, and I swear there were some versions of the story that this happened, where if the queen didn't know about the dwarves, and like Snow White was able to stay out there and just live a peaceful existence without being, whatever, a slave, I guess.
Right.
They didn't really explain it particularly well in this movie.
She was made to a Scully maid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's
But,
singing
like,
happily.
Yeah,
cleaning.
she seemed happy out there with
Yeah,
the dwarves.
yeah, wearing rags.
Yeah, wearing rags, but
Yet she
having
wore
like,
wore this
ridiculous
nice
amount of animal friends.
Yeah, she wore rags in the first scene. Yet in the next scene, she wears a really nice outfit for some reason.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
It's their Sunday best.
now because since it wouldn't fit well, like if it was released today, what would you change in a possible reboot?
More time. I'd give it more time to breathe. I wouldn't cut much. I'd probably, if anything, I'd cut the washing song, although that does have a lot of great sight gags. I would give a prologue. Really, that's all this film really needs. More setup. I like the open book thing, but the book should open in the beginning to reveal an image of the castle or something, and start there instead of having dialogue you have to read. Because truth to be told, no one really kind of reads anymore, which is why I'm doing videos. But no, really, seriously.
You're part of the problem, Jesse.
Yeah, really.
Time to start a live journal.
Yeah.
That exists.
No, it's just start the movie with the mother's death, and then have the prince be introduced at the funeral, and start off a little somber, and then get happy with the singing. You know, give us a little more Queen. The Queen and Snow White have no interaction except for the very end of the movie, and that's the weirdest thing to me.
Oh man.
They
I just realized that,
yeah,
because in
don't
the
even-
beginning, the queen
yeah.
is just looking out the window,
Glaring.
just going, just kind of,
Yeah.
just like, ugh.
Yeah,
Staring at her,
How
going,
dare she?
"You're prettier
How
than
dare
me."
she kiss a
It's
bird
so-
and send it to this
Yeah.
guy who just broke into the castle?
In-
Like,
in a
That would
weird
be the strangest carrier pigeon if a bird just like lands on your doorstep, kisses you, and takes off, and you're just staring at it, going, "What? What just happened? Do I need to get checked out for bird flu now?"
Yeah, really. No, but it's kind of reminds me how Die Hard had it, where you don't really have Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman meet until the last scenes in the movie, and it's really strange. That kind of like keeping the villain away from the hero so the final fight doesn't happen yet. It's just kind of strange and bizarre.
Yeah, at that point, the villain kind of more becomes kind of an ideal to the hero, or an idea rather, not an ideal.
I getcha.
Maybe an
Where-
opposite in a way. In this scenario, or she turns into the most
The
ugliest
villain
person.
is more of a goal than
Yeah,
an actual
yeah,
villain.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's more of an obstacle than a character. Yeah,
I getcha.
because the thing is,
Yeah.
like once the Snow White gets to the cottage, the movie's over. There's nothing really important happening until the Queen acts and does something, because it doesn't make sense to me much how the timeline works out in the movie. If they had the scene where the Queen transforms midway in the movie, I'd be excited because now we'd have something to look forward to. Instead, we just have la da da, it's so fun, ba da 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 da, dancing, singing, all this stuff.
Just a little different editing, maybe.
Yeah, just
Right,
shifting
maybe
a couple
switch a
scenes
couple
around.
of the scenes even to where, as soon as Snow White is, she's cleaning the house, instead of going to the dwarves, have that be the Queen finds out that the huntsman gave her a pig's heart instead, and that's when she's like, well, I guess I gotta do everything myself, and that's when she transforms into the old lady.
Right.
Then you have it go to the dwarves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually think that there's a scene where Grumpy says, "Oh, she's an old witch," and after that scene should be where she transforms into the witch, because that would be kind of little irony in a way. You can introduce that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any other changes we should make to this film if we reboot it?
Give the prince
the
more
prince
of a character
needs
than
more
it
of a
just being a
character.
prop.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, you could introduce the prince earlier in the movie at the mother's funeral, and have that.
Yeah.
be-
Right.
Yeah.
The prince you could even introduce through a narrative just to say who he is. Like maybe he's the prince of the neighboring kingdom. He's got a reputation of being generous to his people,
or
what
gives,
have you.
Yeah, or give Snow White a line like, "How are you?" Or she just freaks out and runs away, and then sort of just looks at him from afar and is, "Oh, this guy looks great." It's that's a weird tell don't show, where we need the dialogue to justify what's going on. We can't read their minds unless there is those little echoey voiceover things.
Yeah, because apparently they're supposed to be this couple we're rooting for, and there's no substance.
Yeah, it's like, hey, let's kiss.
Yeah, it's like more of like, oh, they're supposed to be so in love, they're gonna get married, and I'm like, but why? That's the thing. The first thing we see him is that he jumps through the gate, over the gate, and it's like, oh, hi. He starts singing with her. She's like,
what's going on?
What the F? What?
What the hey now? Whoa, hey you.
Exactly.
I feel like the only kind of stuff that I would like to change is give a little bit more of a beginning to show why the Queen and Snow White hate each other. Not much, just maybe a couple minutes.
You get a scene with the mirror in her, but that doesn't really make much sense.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And add a little bit more to the end to show why why it was perfectly normal for Prince Charming to walk up and
our issue is we have a sandwich with no bread.
Actually, it's a sandwich that's all bread.
No. What I'm saying is that we need the movie.
For me, I want a beginning and end. So
it doesn't really have much of a beginning and end. It just has a lot of meat in the middle. Or whatever.
As far as sandwiches go, I'm okay with that. I would eat.
No,
that.
that turns into a steak. Never mind. Okay, we're getting. So what shouldn't be changed from the movie?
Everything else?
I think the Queen. I think her motivation, her actions are phenomenal.
Solid.
Yeah, so I wouldn't change her that much.
And the dwarf names, they shouldn't be changed. Unless you want to make it modern and have texty and Skypey. Snapchatty.
Yeah, that's the thing. The dwarves' names I like, and you know what? They're actually pretty decent as a group character.
They are.
That's the thing. They're not terrible,
Right.
but so I wouldn't change them either. But
Gives another thing to change real quick. Give Snow White a stronger character.
yes.
Yeah. That's all I'm gonna
Yeah,
say.
that's why like it's just really frustrating me about her is that like she's just she's sitting around and waiting for things to happen. She's waiting for this guy she met 5 minutes ago to come rescue her,
Sometime my
to
prince
whisk
will
her
come
away.
find him. Just go out and
Yeah.
find him. That'd be great.
Yeah,
This
go
movie's a
looking.
journey
You're
movie.
free from
If this movie were a
Yeah.
journey movie instead of a one location movie, it'd be way better.
Right. If she's like, oh, I'm gonna find this guy, and maybe the dwarves live in the neighboring kingdom.
Yeah,
That sort of thing.
that'd be great.
It's that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. But all in all, what are you guys' final thoughts on this film?
Take it away.
I mean, my final thing is that I mean, as much as I can on this film, as I'm just like, it's way too long. It's like the pacing's off and all this. It's not a bad film. It's pretty decent, and I've watched it a couple of times recently, and I enjoyed myself. Like it wasn't like, when is this getting over? It's like, oh, okay, I was able to notice things more as an adult than I was when I watched it as a young child. So it's not terrible. I mean, but it's not like the best movie ever. It's relatively good.
Right.
Jesse?
I thought about this film that it was for its time. It was great. The characters were good for their time. It just needs a little more development, a little more polish, a little better script. It was good. It wasn't great or amazing. It was good and solid. It was solid. It was a solid effort. It kind of had a little bit of meandering here and there. The backgrounds are gorgeous. The Queen's great. The dwarves are really good. Snow White's okay. The other auxiliary characters are okay. The princess needs more fleshing out. The movie just needs, I think, 20 minutes, maybe a half an hour more, and it would be a really solid movie. And I think if they were to reboot another Disney film, this should be it, because it was the first one and the most iconic one. Heck, maybe in like 20 years, on the 100th anniversary of the film or so, we'll get a reboot. I think that'd be pretty cool to see.
Yeah. PSP60, any final thoughts from you?
No. I like the movie. For me, movies tend to boil down to do I regret watching it or not? And I don't with this. I liked it. I feel like it was worth the hour and 20 minutes that I put into it 3 times now over the course of my life. And I enjoyed that. It's a kids movie. I'm not going to look for like a huge amount of stuff in it. It was originally designed for, at least I'm fairly certain it was originally designed for parents to take their kids to, but also is just kind of Disney saying, yes, we can do this. This is something that we can, like, this is something that we can, I don't want to say make a living off of, but like, yeah, it'll be a proof of concept to show that it's something that can make money for whoever was investing into it at the time. Because this was Disney's first major movie. I don't think Disney was funding it themselves.
I think he took so many loans out, he kind of almost broke the bank or whatever. Or he not broke the bank, but just maxed out all. I guess maxing out the credit cards would be a modern thing to say.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah,
but I enjoyed it. I don't really feel that there's anything that's like so particularly heinous that it ruins the movie for me, and it's just a classic story that's been told and slightly reimagined many times over the years.
Right. And just I'm just gonna go further into that, but even making a feature length cartoon was unheard of back then. Because and for the fact that it actually made $1 million back in the 30s when it was made.
Oh wow.
which
Like
is really impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, and then judging. I mean, like adjusting for like inflation. That's the word. Goodness. That it is one of the highest grossing films,
Oh wow.
and people don't really realize that. They think, oh, Gone with the Wind, Wizard of Oz, Titanic, Avatar, and no, everyone went and saw Snow White when it came out.
Yeah.
Despite the doctors saying, "Oh, watching a cartoon for an hour and 20 minutes, anything more than 10 minutes is gonna ruin your brain. Your children are gonna become stupid or something." Like, there was so many doctors' warnings when this film was coming out because it was just unheard of.
Right.
So
Yeah, pretty much anything new is going to get a warning from some group
Yes.
saying that it's
Yeah.
terrible that this happens. It's always been that way. Anything that's new is going to have people saying that it's terrible, primarily because it's new and they don't want it to replace the old stuff.
Oh,
But they
this
like
high
it.
fiving thing's never gonna work out, guys. Ever.
yeah, change is difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. But changing this film isn't. It's simple.
Oh my goodness,
change
Jesse,
a
that
few
is a wonderful
characters.
segue.
Yeah. But yeah,
Agree.
it's a great film. Also, this is probably too late in the review to mention, but for those of you watching this, please watch the film along with our commentary. I believe
Or
that
just watch the film. That's
true.
And play our commentary in the background.
Yes.
yeah.
So, I believe that this has been a successful wrap up, ladies and gentlemen.
I think so too. So our next film, I believe, is Pinocchio.
Yes, our next film is Pinocchio, and I believe that it is actually better than this one, and the films start to ramp up in quality. There aren't really that many dips in the line, but the quality really gets better and better as the films go along, and I cannot wait to see that.
So I will see you guys there for Pinocchio.
Yes, and PS360, anything to say?
I will be there as well. Ignore
Wonderful.
my nose extending during that.
It's okay. Well, we hope to see you two, PS360 and Ms. Chris, at the next video along with the viewer for Pinocchio, Disney's next film. This is Jesse Hecht Creative signing off. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, and tell everyone you know. We'll know if you're lying. We can tell from your nose. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night night.
Good night, good luck, and don't eat the poison apples.